Hi there, my name is Justin Lehmiller, author of the blog Sex and Psychology and the book Tell Me What You Want, and today I'm going to be answering 10 more of your sex questions. So I've pulled together 10 questions submitted to me by readers of the website, which I have right here on these note cards, and just like last time, they cover a wide range of topics, everything from sexual orientation to sexual pleasure to contraception and then some. So you're going to learn about a lot of different stuff today. So let's go ahead and jump in. Question number one, how long does the average sex session last? So in other words, when people are having sex with their partner, how long do they spend on that activity? Based on the data I've seen, the median time spent on sex, and by median I mean 50th percentile, so you know we're sort of exactly half of the people are above it and half of the people are below that point. You see that the median is between 15 and 30 minutes. So that's really, it seems to be the sweet spot where most people are having sex. There is some variability though based on the type of partners that you're talking about. So for example, in female same-sex couples, the median time spent on sex for them is actually 30 to 45 minutes. So we do see some variability across different types of relationships in the amount of time spent on sexual activity, but 15 to 30 minutes is where most people tend to fall, it seems. Question two, is there any research on the effectiveness of the pull-out method? So in other words, the pull and pray method, the withdrawal method, where basically the man pulls his penis out prior to ejaculation in an attempt to prevent pregnancy. So yes, there is a lot of data on this, and you'll be surprised to find that with perfect use, the withdrawal method is estimated to be about 96% effective at preventing pregnancy. However, most people aren't perfect when they practice it. So we really need to look at what's called the typical use effectiveness rate. And what we see there is that it drops to about 78%, which means that basically over the course of a year, if you had 100 women who were using the withdrawal method as their primary form of birth control, 22 of them would become pregnant, which is a pretty high number. Right? So with typical use, you see the withdrawal method is not that effective. Interestingly though, if you look at the typical use rate for condoms, it's only about 80%. And that's because there's a lot of user error when it comes to condoms. So I think we often tend to overestimate how effective contraceptives tend to be because we focus on the perfect use rate instead of the typical use rate, which factors in human error. So there you have it. Question number three. Is it possible for someone to change their sexual orientation if they're unhappy with who they are? The short answer to this is no. And basically, there's a lot of research looking at so-called conversion therapy and reparative therapy. Those are the terms that sexual orientation conversion often goes under, and usually what they're trying to do is change someone with a homosexual orientation to have a heterosexual orientation, and basically what the research shows is that it doesn't work, and that by and large people who undergo those conversion therapy attempts seem to be harmed in the process. So there really isn't any data to suggest that conversion therapy works, and that's why we've increasingly seen states around the country banning conversion therapy practices, particularly for minors. Question number four. In those ED, erectile dysfunction commercials, why do you have to see a doctor if you have an erection that lasts longer than 4 hours, right? So if you watch one of those erectile dysfunction commercials for, say, Viagra or Cialis, you'll see that, you get this warning that if you have this long-lasting erection, more than 4 hours, you should go see a doctor. That's for a condition known as priapism. And basically, the way these erectile dysfunction medications work is that they lead to more blood flow into the penis. And what you find is that in rare cases, the blood has a difficult time leaving the penis. And so you have this prolonged and very painful erection. So if you actually experience priapism, you'd be in a lot of pain and you would definitely want to go to a doctor. But the reason you need to go seek medical treatment for it is because if you have this erection that won't go away, you can actually cause damage to the penile tissues. So it's definitely considered an emergency situation if you were to experience this prolonged, painful erection that lasts longer than 4 hours. So if that ever happens to you, definitely get it checked out. Question number five, can you still have sex and enjoy it when you're older? Short answer to this, yes. Sexuality is something that doesn't have an expiration date, right? You can experience and enjoy sex for pretty much your entire lifespan. It doesn't shut off. Certainly, the way that people express their sexuality, the activities that they're comfortable participating in or enjoying might change as they age. And also what makes sex satisfying might change as we age as well. But the reality is that people can have satisfying sex throughout the entire lifespan. I have a couple of great videos on this on my channel where I spoke with Joan Price, who is a sex educator for seniors, and she talks a lot about this lifelong sexuality that we can cultivate and why it's really important for us to think about it in that way. Question number 6, can a NuvaRing get caught on a penis? A NuvaRing is, if you're not familiar with it, basically this contraceptive ring that is inserted into the vagina that releases a steady dose of hormones that, kind of works the same way in terms of preventing pregnancy that, say, being on the pill would be, or if you had the contraceptive patch. The difference is just that it's coming in ring form that is inserted into the vagina. I've read lots of concerns that people have had about these rings online, one being what this question is getting at, that the ring is going to get caught on the penis, but you really probably don't need to be worried about that. There is some data finding that the vast majority of male-female couples, when the female partner is using the NuvaRing as a form of contraception, the partners don't experience it or notice it during sexual activity. Now, if it was something that you did notice and it bothered you or your partner, the good news is that you can take it out briefly. So if you're going to be sexually active, you can pull it out, just put it back in afterwards. So you can take it out for brief periods if you're going to have sex, if it's something that bothers you. Question number 7, what percentage of women and men are shaved down there? So in other words, how many people engage in pubic hair removal? Interestingly, I saw a study recently that focused on about 1,100 college students, and what that study found was that about 95% of those students reported that they did at least some pubic hair grooming in the last month. So there's a whole lot of pubic hair grooming that's going on, and that's true for both men and women. Women are more likely to engage in pubic hair removal than men, and women are more likely to remove all of their pubic hair than men are, and to do so more frequently, but it's something that the vast majority of both men and women seem to do. If you look at older and more diverse samples, you see that pubic hair removal practices are common as well, including across people of different sexual orientations. So it's something that most people seem to have some experience with. Question number 8, how closely are sex and love related to each other? This is a good question, and I think the way to think about this is that some people have an easier time seeing sex and love as going together, and some seeing them as separate based on their personality and who they are. So specifically, there's something called sociosexual orientation, which is basically the degree to which you see sex and love as going together. And if you're someone who has what's called an unrestricted sociosexual orientation, basically, you have an easier time separating sex from emotion. These people tend to be more comfortable with and enjoy casual sex a lot more. People who have, on the other hand, what's called a restricted sociosexual orientation see sex and love as going together, and as a result, they're less comfortable with casual sex. So this sociosexual orientation difference is something that may help to explain why some people might be better suited to being in, say, a consensually non-monogamous relationship than others, because some people just see sex and love as intimately intertwined and other people don't. Question number 9, how common is asexuality? So asexuality is something that's defined in different ways, but is often defined as a lack of sexual attraction or a lack of desire for partnered sexual activity. In some large nationally representative data sets I've seen that have come out of Britain, where they've specifically defined asexuality as a lack of sexual attraction, what the data reveals is that somewhere between 0.5% and 1% of the population could be categorized as asexual using that definition. I'm not really aware of any nationally representative data sets where they've looked at asexual identification. So your self-identity as asexual might produce different results than defining it as a lack of sexual attraction, but that's really the best answer I can give you at this time. Hopefully we'll have more research on asexuality going forward where we could get more definitive answers, especially based on self-identity. And finally, question number 10, does penis size really matter when it comes to a woman reaching orgasm? There's a fair amount of research that's looked at this, and what the research indicates is that it depends which dimension of penile length you're talking, which dimension of penile size you're talking about to some degree. But let me back up first and say that a majority of women surveyed say that whether you're talking about penile length or penile girth, or circumference meaning, most women say it's unimportant in terms of their sexual pleasure or their ability to reach orgasm. However, there is a minority of women who say that penis size does matter, and of those women, they're more likely to say that girth is important compared to length. So that's what I can tell you there. So thanks for listening. If you have questions that you would like to see me answer, just go to my website, Sex and Psychology, at sexandpsychology.com, and use the question submission form to get to me, and hopefully I can answer it on a future episode. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to keep up with the latest sex research. And if you'd like to learn more about the science of sexual fantasies, be sure to check out my book, Tell Me What You Want, where you can learn what we're fantasizing about, why, what it means, and how you can use the science of sexual desire to improve your own sex life. So thanks for listening, and see you next time.